всім за присутність. Сьогодні буде програма «Інтроспекція» Культурного Капіталу. 4 доповіді. Це першим доповідачем буде Ніколас Чекалді, Марisa Parusel і Немає.
Привет. I'm Nicolas. Thanks for coming. I was hoping, I prefer to discuss individual artworks rather than a general art kind of statement, because I haven't been able to kind of have a clear view of what I'm trying to do, and especially for a talk. It's a top 10.
Я надаю перевагу говорити про окремі картини, ніж про загальний свій погляд на своє мистецтво. Тому я вибрав свої топ-10 картин, які я буду зараз обговорювати.
So, we're going backwards. This is number 10 in my list of top 10 works that I've made. Oops, it's on auto.
Я почну з неї, коли ми обсудимо
That's good.
10.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
No.
It's good enough.
Okay.
Thanks, yeah. So, I forgot the title of this one, but
Я забув назву до цієї картини.
it shows a couple having a nice time, just in being in a good mood.
Воно показує пару, яка проводить гарний час разом.
And that's an attempt to make uplifting art as opposed to sort of darker themes that I've been drawn to normally, like counterbalance.
Зазвичай я роблю мистецтво, яке більш таке темне. Як на противагу цьому я вибрав роботу, яка більш така позитивна і піднімаюча дух.
And it's made of, that was the first time I tried oil paint. That was last year. It's from last year. It's my first attempt at oil painting, and it's made with a knife, and I discovered that it's really fun, and it doesn't take much to create. I mean, it doesn't take a lot of practice to create what I had in mind, because what I had in mind was very simple to achieve. It was simply accumulation of layers and just make it really messy. So it's kind of like super gooey, thick.
Це картина з минулого року. Це моя перша спроба малювати маслом. Я пробувала. Це намальовано ножем, і вона трошки така розмита, нечітка, така з такими товстими мазками.
And this is another painting. So that happened a little bit before, because the first time I did painting was paintings that were purchased in a shop of decoration. So that's why it's weird, because the other one was number 10, because I value it less than this one, but chronologically this one comes before. It's older, and because I used to do stuff like that, and then I did stuff like that to do real painting, because this is real painting. You don't have to translate everything, because and this is more like fake painting. So I started with fake painting, and then I did real paintings, and these are more fake. So that was from a shop, and I put like a crucifix. That was my, if you will, intervention. It's a crucifix stuck in the middle of a painting of a crane, the bird.
Хоча ця картина була до цієї попередньої, яка більш піднімаюча. Це фейк, тобто не справжнє мистецтво, я її не робив повністю сам, я її купив в магазині і її доробив, як бачите, це журавель із Христом.
Made of plastic on the side. Okay, number 8.
Зроблено з пластику.
That's another real painting. I actually made it myself. It's a picture that represents torment, like, you know, being tormented.
Цю картину я зробив сам, вона показує людину, яка страждає, над якою знущається.
So it's oil. You can see that. It's gothic. This is intermediate. It's another painting I made myself. A lot of them are in the top 10 because I'm kind of proud of them recently because they're also very recent, so I like them a lot. So I'm showing you a lot of these kind of things. That's made after a picture of a book.
Цю картину я вибрав всі топ-10, тому що найкращі свої 10 робіт, тому що вони найостанніші, які я робив.
So it's another, just people embrace.
Люди, які обіймаються.
So, yeah. It's kind of a lot of like expressionism, just.
Багато експресії я вклав.
That's another one made from. It started with a painting bought in a shop, a furniture shop, and I just added these faces right here.
Цю картину я купив в магазині меблів і просто додав обличчя до неї.
It's a skull of a deer with a baby face.
Це скальп оленя із дитячим обличчям на ньому.
There you have a flower, but the flower was already there. I didn't paint it myself. Then another skull that's more like a raccoon, I think.
Квітку я не намалював сам, вона вже була на ньому, а я домалював скут.
Unfortunately, yeah. So I like to use these things because it provides a lot of atmospheric decisions were made before, so I just choose the right one and then make it the way that I like it better.
Було різних багато атмосферних рішень, і я вибрав те, що було найкраще.
This one was also bought in a shop, and then there's this doll that's floating in the sky.
Я теж цю картину купив в магазині і додав просто плаваючу обличчя дитини.
That was number 6, I think.
Здається, 6-й номер.
It's kind of like the mood is supposed to be, it's supposed to be scary right away, and I don't have much to explain. It's just it's just creepy dolls, you know. Yeah.
Мені здається, я не дуже маю взагалі щось пояснювати. Картини самі за себе говорять. Атмосфера має бути така жахаюча і страхітлива. Я не думаю, що я маю дуже багато тут пояснювати.
Here's another one that's kind of part of these more recent oil paintings I made myself. It's made after a picture of an elderly couple this time. Just, kissing.
Це теж картина із моїх найостанніших робіт, яку я сам намалював маслом. Це одна із пар, яких я зустрів, і просто вони цілуються.
And it's supposed to provide something to look forward to, and it's like a hopeful picture of something to look forward to in older age. Because I think the senior citizens don't have enough visibility in art.
Мені здається, це така картина сповнена надії, те, чого би ти хотів, те, що хотів би мати в їхньому віці. І насправді ми рідко бачимо людей якби похилого віку, і тому хотів їх показати, як.
Yeah, and at the same time, it's also some people can also view it as upsetting because it's just, I don't know if it's supposed to be depressing. I don't think it is, but I just thought maybe it is, and that's also cool. That's also okay.
Хтось може вважати, що ця картина може викликати смуток, хоча я не вважаю цю картину наповненою якимось негативними, сумними емоціями.
So that was number 4. So we're already in the top 5, and so the number 3 is my third favorite thing I did was this one is more like a sculpture.
Тепер перейдемо до моїх топ-3. Це не малюнок, а скульптура.
And it was in a really big room. That's all of my. I had to do a show in a big room.
Дуже це скульптура, яка знаходиться в дуже великій кімнаті.
So I thought it would be cool to have a chair right in the middle where people sit, and then surrounded by. It's just it created a strange feeling to sit in the middle of that big room, and so it's a bit like relational art where you engage physically and you sit inside the art because people are supposed to sit on it.
Це один із видів такого інтерактивного мистецтва. Мені здається, я хотів поставити саме посередині кімнати стільчик, тому що це викликає дивні такі відчуття сидіти там посеред великої кімнати самому.
And so it looks a bit like a setup for an electric chair, or like the headphone set hangs like a noose, like a rope, kind of.
Вона може викликати такі асоціації з електричним стільцем, і ці наушники, які звисають із стелі, можуть бути як мотузка.
And the headset contained most of the work that I did in preparation for that exhibition, which was music. So in the same way, like the oil painting were started from a sort of like self-taught way. The music was also made in a kind of like amateurish way. Like I just found out how to do the paintings, and then I found out how to do that music, and the music was in the headset.
Коли я малював, я паралельно писав музику, і в цих наушниках саме та музика, яку я творив, малюючи ті картини.
Yeah, but it didn't matter. That was not important. The important thing was the atmosphere that it provided in the exhibition, which was the atmosphere of the music of dungeon music, ambient, medieval ambient. Yeah.
Окей. Це не було так важливо. Музика важлива була саме атмосфера. Музику, яку ви чули в наушниках, це була така якби середньовічний ембієнт. Данч, може ви знаєте такий стиль.
And then underneath it's like a bowl of filled with wine, and it's like a little bit, sitting directly underneath the seat, so it's kind of like suggest something like a sort of dejection or something coming like falling, you know, like a toilet, I guess, or abortion, I don't know.
Під стільчиком знаходилася посудина.
Not an abortion,
Посудина із рідиною, і ніби це як випорожнення тої людини, яка на ньому сидить.
Number two is, this is going to be something that we're going to show here, and it's a row of pillows, and so this is the only piece that has a funny story. It's because it's a sculpture that happened by accident because I was staying at my friend's house, and so we decided to separate, divide the bed to make sure we don't touch.
Одну саме цю інсталяцію ми побачимо в резиденції. Вона сталася якби із життя, тому що я хотів, ми з другом спали в одному ліжку і хотіли розділити місце, щоб ми не торкалися один одного. Тому буде одна із інсталяцій ряд подушок.
So this photo is in his dad's house, father's house.
Ми це зробили у
No, my friend's dad.
в будинку мого друга, тата мого друга.
And this is how it looks like turned into a sculpture.
І це так, яке перетворився в скульптуру.
When it's a sculpture, it reaches a more rich span of meaning. For example, it's no longer about this sort of problem of sharing a bed. It's just like it becomes like immediately like a minimal sculpture or something, or like building a wall. So it's like walls between people. Yeah, no, it is that too. It's just very convenient that it was like a fun surprise that it just became rich, or like sort of had this. It looked really like art, like automatically. I didn't have to do much changes. It was just like.
Воно відразу насправді мало якийсь більший сенс, такий глибший, і коли я перетворив це в скульптуру, все одно залишається сенс того стін між людьми.
And then, well, that could have been number one, because I think I like this better now that I speak of it. I like this one better than the one I chose as number one, but.
Цю інсталяцію мені більше подобається, ніж ту, що я вибрав для топ-1, для найкращих.
And that's the last one I'll show. It's a painting, also made from something purchased in a department store.
Цю картину я теж переробив із картини, яку я купив в торговому центрі.
And the reason I value it more is because it has a deep. It's like a political commentary, or it's like relevant to current events, like recent events. It's like a depiction of the seconds just before a terrorist attack, like a car bomb. So it's like.
Мені ця подобається більше, тому що вона має більший зв'язок із теперішнім. Те, що відбувається із політичною ситуацією, я її зробив до того, як сталися теракти і теракти і взриви машин.
But at the same time, it's not really that, because it has a fun element of anachronism. So it removes it from the harshness of reality and the tragedy of contemporary violence, which I kind of condemn, but who cares? But it's just I like that it was anachronistic. It's an anachronism because anachronism. It means anachronism is when, let's say you have someone driving a car and that's anachronism because it's like 2003 Clio, but in the streets of 19th century Paris. It cannot exist. It's like time traveling.
Ну, насправді вона не настільки трагічна і вона насправді має більш такий позитивний якийсь відгук. Воно більше нагадує, більше я сенсу вкладаю на хронізм, що воно не може статися, що воно було тоді, але не зараз. Воно не має зв'язку із саме з цим моментом.
Okay, I made a mistake. It's not a car bomb. It's actually a car driving into the crowd, but that's not important.
Це не взрив машини, а це в той момент, коли машина
Yeah, like in Nice, like the car. Yeah. But there's yeah.
Це в той момент, коли був теракт пов'язаний з тим, що вантажівка на людей.
And then the reason to do that painting is just because it's fun to have a contrast between a tragic event and a bucolic, a pretty picture of a boulevard.
Вона не пов'язана з тим моментом, тобто воно сталося, але вона більш весела, тому що ми не переживаємо, ми не є в тій ситуації, і ми просто дивимося на гарну картинку бульвару.
And that's it. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Self-explanatory. Okay, so once upon a time I did this show, which is a bit out of the ordinary of maybe the other things I do. No, it's a little less ordinary.
Колись одного дня я робив це шоу, не зовсім схоже на те, що я зазвичай роблю.
I was worried about money because I had a lot of school debt because I'm from America, and it's gone into default. So there are people calling my house, calling my mom, calling my aunt. They were chasing me, sending letters.
Це в той момент, я зробив це шоу в той момент, коли я з Америки і я мав кредит по навчанню, і це в той момент, коли мені дзвонять, моїм батькам дзвонять, шукають, що коли ти даш гроші.
And at the time I was living with a sort of banker out of work who's also an art gallerist, and I was complaining about this problem to him, and he said, "Oh, I have an idea, make a bunch of big black and white paintings, and that will make you some money."
В той час я жив із галеристом, і він мені подав ідею, чому намалюй чорно-білі картинки.
Yeah, and that's because I've made some, like 1 or 2 black and white paintings before, but then I was like, I have no ideas for my black and white paintings, so maybe I shouldn't. But then he said, "Oh, I'll give you an idea." And he went into his phone and found a bunch of pictures of mice he caught in his kitchen. He takes pictures like trophies.
На той момент в мене не дуже багато ідей було, як оформити це і що намалювати. І мені подав ідею, що намалюю. Він мені показав фотографію того, як зловленої миші. Галерист збирає фотографії мишей.
And so I said, okay, since you're rich, you buy me the canvases, I'll make the paintings, and then immediately we shook hands and bought 11 canvases, brought them back, and made all the paintings in 3 days.
Ну, так як він був багатою людиною, йому сказав, ну добре, тоді купи мені полотна, і через 3 дні він мені приніс 11 полотен і фарби. І за 3 дні намалював.
Так. And yeah, and then he showed them to another gallerist in Paris, and the gallerist was like, oh, cool paintings, I want to show them, and then from that I had my first show.
І потім він показав іншому галеристу з Парижу, і йому сподобалось, і ось так у мене було виставка.
And yeah, some people might call that a little bit corrupt, but I think maybe I show these to show that, yeah, maybe I'm not so worried about the art objects in themselves, but like corruption, like your government. Yeah.
Ну, я відчуваю, що вони корумповані, бо я якби не робив їх з власного бажання, а для того, щоб отримати гроші. Але мені все одно.
Yeah, so I did that, and I felt okay about it, and I liked it.
Мені нормально.
And now I don't know how to go back. How do I go back? Close it. Okay. But also, I do things that seem excessively earnest, I suppose.
Ну, крім цього, я ще роблю мистецтво, яке більш щире, чесне.
Like, for instance, I started once upon a time to paint a realist painting that's like yay big, and yeah, and I would paint for many, many, many months non-stop to satisfy myself.
У якийсь період я малював реалістичні картини із реального життя, і я витрачав дуже багато місяців, для того, щоб я відчув, що я задоволений ним.
And it was supposed to be actually also for money. I was trying to get jobs because I saw lots of people want to hire painters that can paint photorealistically, but I failed at that and instead kind of developed something else that I decided to continue doing.
Ну, я насправді теж був мотивований грошима, бо я знав, що люди наймають художників, які малюють фотореалістичні картини, і ну, в мене не дуже вийшло. Ну, you wasn't hired.
I wasn't high? What?
You hired?
Oh, no one hired me. No, I never had too many jobs.
Так, мене не взяли.
No, it didn't work because I can't paint photorealistically, it turns
Так,
out.
ну, в мене не вийшло, бо я не малюю настільки фотореалістичні картини, наскільки.
Oh, and those are something different, but here's another one. And I chose old themes. I don't know why, really. I guess.
Я вибрала старі картини.
Why did I do it? I chose scenes of contemporary farming. It's kind of like mixing, like a little bit of hope. And then I painted other things, like this is a portrait of my old studio mate.
Я вибирав малювати таке сучасне фермерство, садівництво, але потім це картина одного із людей, з якими ми малювали в одній студії.
But yeah, what was I gonna say? 1 second. Yeah, oh, they come from like JPEGs, like pictures. Usually, I take myself. I don't know. Anyway, they come from like my life mainly. Like I've been in all these places, took these pictures.
Ну, я їх перемальовував з фотографії.
Yeah.
Я був в цих місцях і сам бачив.
But always by painting the pictures, I guess I kind of gave enough distance to myself that I could convince myself that it was possibly contemporary art.
Ну, якби я себе переконував в тому, що це сучасне мистецтво.
But then I guess I started to give up on the idea of contemporary art, and well, that's something else. And then, I don't know, more recently, like I made these little pictures outside when I was in Greece, and they're not for showing or anything, but I did them.
Ну, насправді я потім відмовився від ідеї сучасного мистецтва, і я намалював такі маленькі картини, коли я подорожував у Франції.
Oops. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. And because I started to paint outside because I travel a lot. And while traveling, I don't know what to do with myself, so I began to paint a lot of watercolors while I go, just to have something to do.
Ну, насправді, коли я подорожую, мені нема чим зайнятися, багато чим зайнятися, тому я з собою ношу акварелі і малюю те, що бачу.
And I never intended to show them in a real art context yet, but I just continue to do them all the time because I'm traveling all the time, I suppose.
Ну, я насправді, коли їх малював, я не мав це в думці, в голові, що я їх буду показувати публічно, але я їх тепер показую.
Like this is a Berber who led us through the desert. A Berber, yeah, they're called Berbers, you know, a nomad, like desert people, desert man, Morocco. Yeah, this is in Croatia, this is in Poland, Croatia again.
Let us see them.
Oh, you want to see them? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you can look.
Була картина з кочівниками, які їх проводили у пустелі.
Yes. It's like Belgium, this is Berlin, this is Morocco again, this is Morocco, this is Madrid, Caracas, Greece. And then also, yeah, I brought all these, because also here on this trip, you can travel with dolphins and stuff. Yeah, and here, and I don't know if anybody wants to see them, but you're welcome to. They're all kind of bad, I think. But I don't know. I don't know if that matters really. What? I know that button. Yeah, and I don't know if it matters if they're good or bad. And I don't know if it matters what I paint. And I don't even know if it matters that I do. That I paint. I don't know if it matters that I paint. But somehow it seems to be mildly exciting, maybe within the context of contemporary art world, but also just when I'm on the street, people sometimes are excited to see it, and I think there's something to that.
В контексті мистецтва воно і не має значення, але коли я їх малюю на вулиці, людям подобається, в них викликається інтерес, і я думаю, що це, як мінімум, це вже важливо.
So you get an idea of this. There's hundreds of them.
Сотні. Ви зрозуміли приблизно, в якому стилі я малюю.
And oops, I closed it. How do I? One moment. Okay. And So I did try to kind of translate it into something I could show in a gallery, and so I projected some of the watercolors and painted them as some oil paintings.
Я спробував своє мистецтво перевести в більш таку...
I press OK, Attila? I press OK?
Більш таку...
Oh, you don't have to translate that. Attila, I press OK? No. Okay, sorry.
Більш таку мистецтво для публіки, для галерей. І я зробив декілька масок.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I broke it. It's coming. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and somehow by painting them big and with oils, big, larger format, making them, like remaking them as oil paintings, I think it makes it more accessible than if I were to ever actually put
Я перевів їх в інші
these
формати
paintings
з
on a wall.
маленького формату більше.
That one's in my living room. It's never been shown. It's just for the living room.
Це мої вітання.
I only made 3 like this so far. And what? In that format? Yeah, I only did those
Я
3
тільки
so
3
far.
картини намалював в такому великому форматі.
And I don't know if anybody has any questions about that stuff for later, because I'm just going to skip ahead to one other thing I did, which is kind of separate but similar because I'm always copying things. Oh, and maybe this is a bit separate but similar just because I'm always copying things.
Це трохи окрема тема, але я все одно, трошки інший стиль, але я все одно продовжую копіювати. Продовжую в своєму стилі, хоч він трошки відрізняється від мого типового стилю.
And once I was living in a little village in the woods in Poland with Marisa there, and we found an abandoned house across the street, like a haunted house.
Ці картини я намалював тоді, коли я жив у лісі в Польщі, і ми знайшли будинок без людей, такий ніби з приводу.
Yeah, and I had to make some paintings for a show in Poland coming up, and in this house we found that it was the house of a dead painter.
Я якраз готувався до виставки у Польщі, і потім, як виявилося, це був будинок мертвого художника.
And her paintings were still on the walls, and the clothes were still folded in the drawers, and there were notes that described the darkness of her life.
В домі продовжували бути, висіли її картини, все те, що вона лишила, коли вмерла, її полотна, і навіть були записки з поясненням її світогляду, її погляду на життя і її картини, на її мистецтво, пояснення.
And even though most of her paintings were kind of like the sort of thing you find on the street in Uzhgorod, there were a couple weird ones she did of Jesus.
Ну, насправді вони не були чимось цікавими, і такі картини можете просто знайти у продавців на вулиці в Ужгороді, але було декілька цікавих тем, наприклад, із картиною Ісуса.
And yeah, I found them kind of special and I wanted to keep them, but they had mold on the back, which maybe wasn't healthy.
Ну, насправді я хотів забрати деякі з них, бо для мене вони виявили, я їх вважав, порахував, що вони особливі, але на них була плісень ззаді, і я подумав, що це вони дуже здорово.
And possibly haunted too, but
Він справді там було в ньому приклади.
So I decided to also blow them up big and repaint them as best as I could because they were about like this big, but then the biggest ones were much larger.
Я хотів зберегти.
The way I made them. I remade them much larger. The biggest one, they were about the size of this little one here, but I blew them all up to larger scale.
Я їх перемалював, тому що вони були дуже маленького формату. Я зробив їх набагато більші.
And some were unfinished because I think she quit painting when her husband tragically died.
Деякі з картин були не закінчені. Я так думаю, що вона перестала малювати. Це сталося тоді, коли її чоловік помер.
And so I don't know, I showed them without the story. I just tell the story because it's fun, but I don't know if it's necessary to the paintings. In fact, maybe it makes it too gimmicky or something. Gimmicky? I don't know. Maybe it just makes them, maybe it's a...
Okay, so насправді я не думаю, що взагалі важливо розповідати предісторію цих картин, тому що це навпаки їх перетворює в більш такі прикольні. Ну і воно втрачає свою якусь цінність, історію і стає таким більш.
But I think it was a bit hard for the Polish art crowd. My guessing was that it's too hard to tell if it's for or against Christianity when you see them like this. And then also there was like a woman who came and said, how can you paint these things? They are very dangerous with their very dark energy too. So these were some responses I got. Kind of no response in that.
Ну, так як я ці картини робив для виставки в Польщі, було важко визначити, чи вони були за християнство, чи проти. І одна жінка до мене підійшла і запитала, як ти взагалі можеш малювати такі картини? Вони дуже темні, вони небезпечні.
And that's my complete oeuvre. Thank you very much.
Дякую за увагу.
Добрий вечір.
Oh, it's turned off.
Добрий вечір.
Yeah. No, one more.
Okay. So if I want to play this, I go like this. This is a first serious artwork I did.
Це перша моя серйозна робота, яку я робила.
And probably the most expensive artwork I did.
І, мабуть, найдорожча моя робота.
It was sort of feeling that maybe artist is a person that has some sort of a idea that comes to you, and it has to be exactly as it comes to you. I was obsessed with a religious woman And I thought it's like a vision, that being an artist it comes to you around this time that doesn't belong to a day or doesn't belong to a night.
Коли я робила цю роботу, я мала відчуття, ніби мистецтво – це те, що до тебе приходить.
Like Simone Weil, Hildegard von Bingen, a religious woman that were obsessed with Christ, and they were afraid of sex.
And you were inspired?
Inspired by them. Oh no, at that time I was a teenager.
В той момент моїм натхненням була стара жінка, яка боялась всього сексуального, тому що вона була такою християнською, фанатичною, занадто релігійною, віруючою.
And I think since then making art had changed for me, and I'm not afraid to do something without a reason, but then I had to know the reason before I start to do it.
Після того для мене змінилося значення мистецтва, я перестала боятися і
Had to have a reason.
Перед тим, як я щось робила, я мала для цього мати якийсь сенс.
So a reason to make that video was looking for a long time at one object and looking for so long that you don't know anymore what it is, and you get away from a language. And there's this poem by Gertrude Stein that is rose, is a rose, is a rose, is a rose. And I think she thought rose is a romantic object, and we all have some kind of feeling towards it. And, yeah, sorry. Це
в той момент, тобто коли причина і сенс стає в тому, що коли ти дуже довго дивишся на один об'єкт, і він втрачає свій сенс, він втрачає свою мову, і я згадала Гертруду Штайн, її вірш, це троянда, це троянда, це троянда.
And she thought, I thought maybe art can work that if one for a long time looks at something or thinks about something, you create your own meaning to it. You give it another understanding, and you try to show it to people, and it becomes strong because you are brave to think that this is what it means for me, and I want to share it with you.
Коли ти дуже довго дивишся на цей об'єкт, він втрачає свій першочерговий сенс, і ти насмілюєшся йому назначати нове значення.
And I'm not sure if I even succeeded, but I don't think it's about succeeding in anything. You just keep on doing stuff.
Я не думаю, що в мене це вдалося, але це не про успіх, це просто про те, що ти це робиш.
There is lots of technical details because the shot like this one had not been made in a history of a cinema before, that contains a perfect spiral around the rose, but I think it's we have little time and I just move on.
Насправді, якщо ми говоримо про технічні якісь особливості цього відео, це був перший раз, коли можна було побачити троянду, коли камера рухається по колу, тобто 360 градусів.
How to do it? This is a video that as well is a one-take video without montage. And it's as well nothing really is happening, that like there's no sound and no montage. I think it comes out of a fear that as soon you make a montage, it's not a documentation anymore, you intervene in it.
Наступне відео, яке я покажу, теж було знято одним кадром, без монтажу. І ти робиш це відео, тому що ти боїшся, якщо ти почнеш монтажувати його, редагувати це відео, втратиться цей момент невтручання в момент.
So this is a work, I think, like other video, I had repeated it at least 40 times in different days. And it's filmed in a Sephora at Broadway in Manhattan. It's made with a GoPro camera that is attached to my chest.
Це відео знято, я знімала десь 40 разів приблизно, і це знято на Бродвеї у магазині Sephora, і це було знято камерою GoPro, яке було приєднано до моїх грудей.
And in Poland, where I come from, when you go to a Sephora store, there would be a woman coming to you straight away and ask you, what do you want to buy?
У Польщі в магазині Sephora завжди буде якась продавщиця, яка буде до тебе підходити і питати, а що ти хочеш купити? Чим тобі допомогти?
And I would go to Sephora every time before I go to a party, which was then a lot, like 4 times per week, let's say.
Кожен раз, як я ходила на вечірку, я заходила в магазин Sephora, і це було в той час дуже часто 4 рази на тиждень.
And I realized that there is Sephora in New York is very different. You come in, you do a makeup to yourself, you do a makeup to another people that you don't know, sorry, you just meet them there. And it's like a hangout of strangers that are close to each other. There is a different feel. You are in the street, you touch someone, and it feels bad. But you're in Sephora, you touch someone's face, and it's okay.
Магазин Sephora в Нью-Йорку на Бродвеї кардинально відрізняється від магазину в Польщі, тому що це більше як тусовка, тому що ви робите один одному мейкап собі, людям поруч. Може на вулиці це відчуватись дискомфортно, коли ти доторкаєшся до когось незнайомого, але в магазині Sephora це цікаво, це класний досвід.
And I had even a situation there when a woman that was working told me I look good in a foundation from Yves Saint Laurent, and she said I should get it, and I thought it's too expensive, $45, I can't afford it. And she said, oh, camera is not working, just put it in your pocket and go. And I paid like shit. She said, I'm paid like shit, camera is not working, just take it.
У мене була одна ситуація, коли жінка до мене підійшла, і я кажу, вона сказала, що мені дуже підходить ця база, вона мені сказала це, я кажу, ну це занадто дорого, $45, це для мене занадто, і вона каже, камон, камери не працюють, просто постав собі в карман і йди геть, я нічого не заплатила і вийшла.
And I realized that a part of me, there is many women that go there to do makeup, and they maybe have a reason, like they go for a date, or maybe they want to kill the time, or they just want to be next to someone in the way that it feels okay. And I was surprised because all my friends always talk about capitalism and they make art criticizing capitalism. But I came to America and I was like, wow, capitalism is great. I can come into Sephora, use any product, and be close to women, and we can be relaxed together and do what we like.
Ну, насправді це був цікавий досвід, тому що багато моїх друзів, багато крім мене людей приходять в Сефору не тільки щось купити, вони приходять там, може, зробити мейкап перед вечіркою, чи просто витратити якось час, убити час, чи, можливо, вони просто теж хочуть з кимось поспілкуватися. І для мене це було дивно в контексті моїх друзів, які борються з капіталізмом, але капіталізм – це круто, особливо в Америці, коли ти можеш просто прийти в магазин із косметикою і спілкуватися з незнайомими людьми.
And I said to my mom the story about the woman telling me to take something in my pocket, and she said it reminds her when a communist was very at the end of a stage, and people realize the system is fucked and it's fucking them up. So it's okay if they do something a little bit wrong in their job. And the feeling of a freedom is strong somehow. Yeah.
Коли я розповідала цю історію моїй мамі, вона відповідь мені розповіла, їй це нагадало в той час, коли вже комунізм був на останніх своїх, вже виживав, і тоді люди так і робили, вони крали, тому що не знали, що мало часу залишилось, і яка різниця, якщо система і так просто розрушиться, і це дуже круте відчуття свободи.
And I was really, I liked visually that one can see oneself, but also always another woman and reflection of oneself and another reflection. And I found it very, very beautiful. That's why I was drawn to make the video there.
Мені воно подобалося не тільки із-за атмосфери, але візуально мені теж подобалося, тому що ми могли бачити відображення людей в дзеркалі, і для мене саме це було цікаво.
You can see over here the woman that works there makes a makeup to a client, and she doesn't want any money.
Ви можете бачити, як продавець робить мейкап іншій людині, і вона не хоче за це гроші, вона просто так це робить.
And I thought there is some sort of like that art can be like an incubator, like a place can become like an incubator for like a hope or a people existence in the system that is against them, but they can create a more other system within this system that they would find being together that won't be controlled by anyone. But maybe I'm naive a little bit, I don't know.
Круто то, що ти можеш створити систему в системі, це як мистецький інкубатор. Ти можеш створити свій світ, в який ніхто не буде втручатися, але він всередині системи, він не десь окремо.
Okay, sorry, I have to.
Можливо, я наївна, але
I drank a little bit of wine and now I feel like I can talk for 2 hours. I'm going to be very quick now. Sorry. How to do it? These are paintings on photographs of famous women.
Зараз покажу картини, які базуються на фотографіях відомих жінок.
And they're all catched during a biking process. The camera is catching them when they're biking. They're in a movement.
Картини, які
because I found out I have a very complex relation to perceiving another woman. I'm much more judgmental when I see a woman than when I see a man.
Зазвичай я більше осуджую жінок, ніж чоловіків, тому для мене це був такий виклик.
And I thought maybe I can try to heal it somehow in myself. And I started to read a bit about abstract painting and women doing abstract painting and the whole process of it as sort of a spiritual process. And I thought maybe I could try to do something like intuitive, and then I will at least be honest somehow.
Для мене це був як вид такого, я хотіла себе вилікувати від цього осудження жінок, тому я багато читала про жінок в абстрактному мистецтві, і я хотіла це в собі змінити, це осуджуючий погляд.
So in this picture, Gwyneth Paltrow, she has this health company that is called Goop, and she's telling always women, you are unhealthy, you have to change your diet, you're using a bad skincare, you have to buy a new skincare for $2,000, and you have to do this and this and this. And I think when I look at her, I see a lot of anxiety in her, so I thought she's kind of breathing with her tears.
У Gwyneth Paltrow є компанія Goop, яка займається різними cosmetic products.
Well, she's making everything. It's like a lifestyle. She's promoting a different lifestyle. It's sort of like a very rigorous lifestyle she's promoting. On women that do not have this kind of money to do what she wants to do. So I kind of hate her deeply. And I can't help it.
Вона якби прихильник такого життя, якби викликів над собою, що жінки мають працювати над собою, ходити в зали, слідкувати за своєю шкірою, не купувати ті засоби, а купувати там засоби за $200. І насправді я її не дуже люблю. І на тій картині було показано, ніби вона плаче.
She's breathing with her tears.
А вона дихає своїми сльозами.
This is Kristen Stewart. This is Drew Barrymore. I think she's really great. She, from E.T., she had a career when she was a child already. So I thought she's sort of like an angel in a rocket that is ascending like an astronaut. She has lots of mental problems, and there is lots of stuff that we get to know about famous women that sometimes we can sympathize with. I always like to read about the mental troubles of famous women and feel connected to them. I don't know them at all.
Насправді за успіхом таких жінок криється дуже багато психологічних проблем. І коли я досліджую, коли я читаю більше про цих жінок, я до них ставлюсь з більшою емпатією.
This is Heidi Klum. She's biking. She's German. So I thought about Machina in the car, and she's biking with her closed eyes. Kristen Dunst is like a wedding dress, a cat sitting back to you.
Kirsten Dunst у весільній сукні теж на велосипеді.
And the exhibition was in London, and it was called To Be Free, Be Tender.
Це була картина із виставки в Лондоні, яка називалася «Щоб бути вільним, будь ніжним».
I wrote maybe this is the thing with biking is that there is something that it doesn't matter where do you go at some point, and you forget, and normally in life when we make some sort of like a decision, it's the aftermath comes very later. But with biking, it comes immediately, and you are not protected. Your body is not protected. So if you go right, you immediately turn right.
Чому саме велосипед? Тому що коли ти на велосипеді, ти не знаєш, куди ти їдеш. І коли для того, щоб нам прийняти рішення, нам потрібні місяці. А з велосипедом все простіше. Тобі треба повернути наліво, ти просто повертаєш свій руль наліво, це все.
Yeah, I quote my own text. This is horrible, I'm sorry. But here it says,
Я процитувала свій текст.
In his eyes, human aspire to a role of a marionette, to experience a state in which we are dependent on our strings to show in relation what our souls are not our humanity. No, this is stupid. I just gotta say it. But I think every time we try to show how free we are, we always show our bondage, not freedom. Bondage is like, bondage, like, and we cannot be really free.
Like you find something.
Yes. No, bondage is not. Anya, how to say bondage?
Навіть тоді, коли ми хочемо показатися, що ми вільні, ми все одно показуємо бondаж. Тобто ми приховуємо щось за цим бondажем. Ми не можемо показатися, проявитися вільно.
So I was obsessed with this idea that the reaction comes immediate, that is there. Yes, and that's like a freedom that when you tender, you go on a bike, it's happening straight away. Anyhow, I think I'm doing it for too long, so I'm not going to show more works. But thank you very much.
Насправді, коли я була просто, я дуже була захоплена цією ідеєю бути вільним, бути ніжним, бути вразливим. І насправді мені подобалась саме ця реакція, яку ти отримуєш відразу. Тобто ти відразу повертаєш і ти хочеш повернути, ти відразу повертаєш. Мені здається, я вже забагато говорила. Всім дякую за увагу.
Thank you.